Hi everyone, welcome to yet another restoration video of our Zen. Today we are going to look at replacing these lower arms of the front suspension assembly. So let me quickly explain what this lower arm is all about. It is a part of the front suspension assembly. What you see here basically is the tie rod, and that is connected to the knuckle, which is a cast piece. Because each end of the tie rod is connected to the knuckle, when you turn the steering wheel towards the left or right, it will turn the individual wheels towards the either side. Now the lower arm that you see there, one end is connected to the body frame right here, and the other end is connected to a sway bar through here. You can see this castle nut here and the split pin. There's also a bush inside which we'll be changing. The steering knuckle is connected to this front shock absorber using these two bolts. If you loosen them, it's very simple to remove the lower arm. I'm going to show you how. And as a replacement, what I've done is I have sourced the replacement lower arms from the Maruti Suzuki MGP, which is this. So this is the replacement lower arm. It also comes with a protective cap, as you can see. And this is the MGP part number. So let's see how to replace these lower arms. The first order of business is to jack up your car, remove your wheels and rest it on jack stands. So let's try removing the lower arm and the associated fasteners. Now, before you try to do it, if it's a very old car, what I would always advise is to spray some WD-40 on the fasteners and let it rest for some time. We'll let it rest for some time, and just a heads up, since I'm alone here, I'll try my best to capture all the steps. First, we'll loosen these bolts of the shock absorber, which is connected to the steering knuckle. These are M10 nuts, so socket 17. You don't have to remove the bolts completely, you just have to loosen them. Access can be a bit of a struggle for some of the bolts. Next, you will have to remove the split pin assembly from one end of the sway bar. So you'll have to lower this prong. I also have these replacements for the split pins and fasteners, etc. So we'll use a long nose plier to just lower that prong there of the split pin. So there you go. We have removed the split pin. Once you remove the split pin, you also have a castle nut which has to be removed. The socket size is 17 for a M10 castle nut. So this right here is the castle nut. Look at the shape of it. It actually resembles a castle or a fort. We have the replacement for this. Other than the castle nut, you will also have a flat washer there. When you take out the washer, you will also have a bush, rubber bush, which is to be taken out from inside the lower arm. This is it. Now what we'll do is this sway bar you see here, we'll loosen the bracket that's holding it up to the body. You can see that the assembly now moves. So this is a bracket that holds the sway bar on both sides to the body. So we'll loosen that. The sway bar bracket uses 14 socket for removing the M8 bolts. We have removed the bolts. Repeat the procedure for the other bracket as well. So this bolt that you see here, that is where the other end of the lower arm is connected to the body frame. This is quite a long bolt and it's an M8 bolt. So you'll use a socket 14. So the bolt is out. This is it. You can see it's long here and it also comes with a spring washer inserted. We have the replacement. Now the next activity is to remove this lower arm from the body frame. You will have to use a hammer and some leverage. Okay, so before that we have one last bolt on the other end of the lower arm, which is connected to the steering knuckle, which is right here. We'll just remove that. This is it. And with a bit of hammering, the lower arm has come off the body frame. So check this out, guys. The boot of the lower arm is completely gone. The grease was leaking and some dirt inside which has got collected. Let me see if I can show you a close-up of this lower arm. There you go. You can see the broken boot and the dirt collected. So this is a replacement lower arm from MGP. and it comes with a protective cap on the boot side. Pull it out and you can see that the boot is intact, and the boot invariably gives up, guys, due to the wear and tear, so you will have to replace it at some point. Now before we install it, we need to apply a bit of grease at the boot side. So I have this SKF general purpose grease. This is a general purpose automotive grease and not a high temperature grease, because it's not going to be used for braking applications or such. So apply a bit of grease on the tip. But the biggest effort that we're going to do is to insert the lower arm between the body frame right here. And it's going to take some effort, but I'm going to show you how. So we'll take care of the sway bar end, insert the bush right here. Let me refer the part diagram. So this is it. That's the sway bar, and that is the bush. You can see there are two bushes end to end on either side, and then comes the washer. So these are the replacement bushes. After the washer, you have the castle nut and the split pin. Okay. So insert the bush into the sway bar and insert the lower arm. Apply a bit of the general purpose grease on the other end of the lower arm. After it is slotted inside the knuckle, tighten the bolt. But do not fully tighten it yet, because we have to insert the other end of the lower arm into the body frame. So we need a bit of play there. Okay guys, I kid you not, I have reduced the length of the video here, but this is going to take a really long time if you are going to do it for the first time. So please be prepared for it. There's going to be a lot of hammering, aligning the bolt hole, etc.
Okay, boys.
Phew, this was, guys, one of the most deadly 1 hour that I spent for aligning the bolt hole. I suppose that was the most strenuous 1 hour that I've ever spent in the DIY of the Zen. So basically what is happening is the lower arm, it has to pass through the body frame, and this length of the bolt that you see here, it has to go all the way from one end to the other. So you have to align the bolt hole so it goes and threads itself inside the frame. So that was the one that took a lot of time. Not to mention I had to hammer the other end of the lower arm to insert it into the body frame. Once that's done, the rest of the activity involves tightening all the fasteners. You have one right here. Then you have the one for the sway bar with a castle nut and the split pin. So let's do that. Bushes have also been replaced, and you can see the difference here when you keep one and the other aside. One of them is compressed, the stock one. So most bushes have to be replaced at some point. And once you're done with all this, if you haven't had a tetanus shot taken, I suggest you do that. I've got several cuts and bruises after this DIY. So once the bushes and washer is inserted, screw the castle nut by hand. I do not advise using any grease here. It's just not required. So this is a replacement split pin. Let's insert it. Once it is inserted, pull one of the prongs to a corner.
Good.
So this is the arrangement. Don't forget to pull that prong of the split pin. So let's tighten the remaining fasteners and be done with it. Guys, so we have finally replaced the lower arm of the co-driver side and the associated fasteners. And at the sway bar side, we have changed the bushes, we have replaced the fasteners, the split pin, etc. Guys, here is a neat trick. If you want to, raise the sway bar after you have completed the work, it is going to be a little hard. And because if you want to reach this bracket near the body frame, it might be hard. So the best idea is to use this jack. Keep the jack below that bracket and gently raise it up, and it will just align. The bracket would align itself with the holes on the body frame. It will be much simpler that way. So like I reiterated before, the hardest part is going to be inserting it into the body frame. If you have a crowbar like this, it'll make that leverage part much simpler. And inserting that long bolt, aligning itself with all the bolt holes, that is the only thing that's going to take some time. So I had to use this half-inch extension pipe and hammer to get some leverage. You do not have to remove these bolts completely. You have to do it only when you are replacing this complete strut assembly, which is available. So I'll be replacing these fasteners when I'm changing the front shock absorbers. So repeat the same procedure for the driver side, but I have to tell you that that particular bolt right there, which is connected to the body frame, it is coming behind this engine oil sump. So you'll have to be a little more careful here. So that wraps up this DIY. Now let's look at all the parts that's used. This is a lower arm. You're going to need two of them, one for each side. This is that long bolt which connects the lower arm to the body frame. This is the bolt that connects the lower arm to the knuckle. And these are the bushings of the sway bar. You're going to need four of them. This is the washer. This is the castle nut. You're going to need two of them. And this is the split pin. And this is the exploded parts diagram, which shows the steering knuckle, the lower arm, the bushers, and this is the sway bar assembly. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you like this video.